Welcome back to another Creative Encounter podcast. I'm your host, Juiette Payne, and I'm excited that you guys are here for episode 21. Yes, we are vibing and having a great time, and I have a very special guest I'm about to introduce. But before I do want to say we are on YouTube, so please go ahead and subscribe. We are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so please leave a review and a rating. We would absolutely love that. But today I have a very good friend of mine who's an amazing designer. I mean, like literally, y'all, when y'all go to her house, you forget where you're at. You're like, did I walk into IKEA? Is this like an IKEA show? Is it an IKEA showroom? But seriously, guys, this is my friend Mylene Raspado. Mylene, how you doing?
Good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so excited that you came out. So Mylene and I, we're kind of in the same boat with like, we got all the kids, all the children and stuff. So to make this happen, it takes a tribe to like help and watch the kids and make this go. But she carved out time to come over to just really bless you guys and talk about her business and what she's working on. So, but just kind of starting, let's just start with family. How's the family doing?
Good.
Yeah.
I have 3 littles. So we have...
so it's like having 10 kids.
It's like having 10 kids. And then you add a dog. And they say one dog is equivalent to 3 kids.
You do have a dog, yeah.
Yes, we send them away when there's company.
Okay, there we go. Right. I was like, yeah.
But yeah, so you have a 7, now 5, and almost 3-year-old.
Wow.
So...
Man.
Times are crazy.
I know, it's insane. I literally remember when the first one was born, and we were just like so excited, like, oh snap, you know, because Mylene and I, we go back because her husband, we went to high school together, and we actually met like after like elementary, high school. That's when we met. And man, we've been tight ever since. We go to church together, fellowship together. It's just crazy.
And now our oldest boys go to school together too. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So they're literally in the same class,
circle,
just like me and her husband were in high school classes together and stuff. It's insane. But we met, the first time we met when you guys were dating, I believe I was still working at Target.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
And you guys were shopping in Target.
Yes,
and then
you remember that?
Yep. And he introduced me to you and stuff. Like I remember that whole moment. And now you guys are like 3 kids later. But how has it been juggling? Because you're creative and you've been doing this for a while. Like, how's it been juggling family and the business? You know,
crazy. So I really never had any other option because I went to grad school for interior design. And right before my thesis semester, my last semester is when I found out we were pregnant with our first. So really went through grad school, took a semester off because of pregnancy, giving birth, went back at it, got my degree, and then it was motherhood. And then I was like, I need to let the creativity out. So I did that through Instagram.
Okay.
Because I couldn't jump back in the career just yet with a 6-month-old, I think it was at the time. So I just found my brand and my voice through Instagram. I created an account and I literally just shared my home and little projects I was doing to keep me sane.
Exactly.
Being at home with the little one, you know, that first year, it could be rough for mamas, and you almost feel like you lose yourself. So I found that as just like a little place for me just to let out the creativity. I couldn't be full-on interior designer yet, but I found that I started to create a brand through Instagram during that time. So it was like a happy accident. So it was cool.
I love it so much. I love how you said it helped keep you sane because it's like as creatives, like we have to let it out. There's no way. Like Gabby has seen like the stress I have when it's like I'm not able to write a song or able to finish a track because so much stuff just kind of piles up. And we've had those conversations of just like eliminating things too because as a creative, you can think, I could do this idea, I could do that idea, you know. But
your mind never stops.
I know you guys stay in your lane, but it's like, man, when God gives you that gift, you have to do it, you know. But like, when did you first know that this is what you wanted to do as a career? Like, how far back does it go?
Man, I mean, I was the little girl always rearranging my room. I was moving furniture. Mom, growing up, she was always moving furniture around, changing things around. And so I saw it early on, just in her and how she did things. And in my room, constantly moving things around. Can I change this? Can I paint this color? Like, young and still like. But then I also love teaching. So my story started, I actually was enrolled in the school. I got my graduate degree in for interior design for my bachelor's. And then was like, I had some people in my ear like, are you sure you don't want to do teaching? It's more stable. And I kind of let that, get to me. So I was like, you know what? I'll go back and I'll go back to design, if anything. I could always get something, in design. So I did that. I went, got my undergrad in teaching.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask you. I know you were talking about grad school, so your undergrad was in education.
Elementary ed.
Elementary, okay.
But the whole time, I was like, I kept saying, God's going to throw me a curveball. I just feel it. And I'd be in a classroom substitute teaching, because I did that for a number of years after I graduated. And I'd be thinking of how can I rearrange this classroom? Little things. And actually, the teachers loved having me as a substitute, because they would come and everything would be like organized and neat. And it would take all of me not to rearrange literally the classroom. But after a while, I was like, you know what? This is just not, teaching is not where my heart ultimately is. It was always still in design. So I actually found that school that I initially was enrolled in, they had a program, a career-changing program. So you could get your master's in something different than your undergrad. Okay. And so that's what I did, and I got an interior design.
I love it. That's crazy. That's so cool. Now, how did it work out with, did you share a room with your sister?
Yeah, we shared. Growing up, we shared. We had our times of sharing a room.
Okay, so were you shifting her stuff around and stuff too, or
I was. And we did the whole split colors. One color, I had my color going on. But I'm sure my voice was pretty loud in how that went about always.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. And I love seeing how God has help that to grow even in your ministry. So you do it as a business and as ministry as well. So tell us about the ministry that you do at church.
Oh man, yes. So,
and how that came about too,
Yeah, so the ministry I do at church is called Adorn. So we basically take care of all of the events, all of the events that happen, all the holidays that come about, Christmas, Mother's Day, photo booths, all that. That's what we do. Yeah. And it just kind of happened because, you are attracted to what you're attracted to. Yeah. So I would see them setting up and I would be helping, and people knew that was a part of my gifting. So they would ask me to help. And then it just launched itself. One of the ladies, she used to do Christmas decor, and then she's like, I really feel like it's time to pass it to you, and I think you're the person. Wow. And I was like, what? Because it's a big church to do whole Christmas decor. Yep. It's a lot of work. And I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And and then that kind of just catapulted all the other things. So that's what we do. It's pretty fun. It is a lot of work. You have to be more crafty because budgets are not as big.
Exactly.
So, but that's kind of the fun part. It's like, okay, what can I do? How can I make this with little? Yep. And it's kind of, it's fun because it gets your wheels turning. Yeah. We have a lot of other creatives on our team, all gifted in the different things. Some are strength in budgeting. Some are the technical side. So I'm the visionary. I'm like, I want this. Yep. And I see it maybe doing it with creating this wall with tissue paper. But I don't know how we're going to get the tissue paper and then there's someone else who has that gifting. And so it's pretty cool to see. Dope. Just all the giftings.
I love it, man. They be hooking it up. She being all modest and stuff, but they be hooking it up. I mean, what was that for Christmas recently? I love how you guys did that. Because, I used to do, model making and building and things like that when at school. We're kind of similar. I did architecture. You did interior design. So we did a lot of that stuff. So I'm always studying when I see everything you guys do. I go up to it, checking it out. It's all those foam. Yeah. But then maybe I spray painted it maybe. It was amazing. So they do awesome work. Even so, were you guys... I know you designed some things at church too. Oh yeah, so I helped. I think actually that gave me a lot of confidence. There was a season when I was in grad school, and they bought the building next door, and they made it the children's building basically. Yeah. And so during that time, the contractor, who is a member of our church and was a deacon at the time, he really just kind of brought me under his wing and was like, come on, and pastor as well, just like, hey, let's use your giftings, And so they helped me I selected a lot of the paint colors and the hard finishes, the tiles and stuff like that. So that gave me confidence because it was always people I know, small rooms, and
And so it was my first real big project. And so that gave me big confidence. And I was like, man, I want to do this. You know, like I want to do this.
I love God. I love seeing God open those doors for us. Like he knows that this is what he sees us. This is all about God seeing us in our gifts. Like a lot of people, again, the whole thing like, oh, this is safe. It's like God's not safe. You don't see anywhere from Genesis to Revelation where God does things safe. So it's always when we venture out and do things by faith, he gives those opportunities because people are watching, or he'll make it so that people are like, huh, I thought of this person.
And I love that you kind of pointed that out because I did youth ministry for a number of years.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was my main ministry. That's where I met my husband and everything. And I was a youth leader. And you directly see the fruits of that ministry, right? You see the kids, you see them get to know God, you see them grow. And so my struggle when God was calling me to out of that and in this new season of like decor and design within the church body was like, okay, God, but what fruit does this produce?
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense, yeah.
What is this even something that I can call a ministry? Like what? And he led me into scripture, and the verse just out of my head now. But they're talking to Solomon and those that have giftings for building the temple.
Yeah, yeah.
And they speak directly to the creatives.
First Chronicles.
I think so.
Possible, yeah.
Yeah, and they speak directly to the creatives, and they're saying those that have giftings in creative things with their hands, and they're able to come up with solutions and all that. And when I read that, I was like, that's me. Wow. And it spoke to me because I was like, I'm in his story. It's like I can be, like this can be used, for his glory. Like this is something that when people come to events for church or they walk through the doors, they feel homey because of the design or the event space. They feel welcoming because of what we chose or, all that, especially in today.
Yep.
2023.
Yeah.
Everything is visual.
Yep.
Everything is visual. And then social media visual. And that generation that we're trying to reach, like you have to speak that language.
Yep.
And so it's been fun seeing like my giftings come into the story,
I love it. That's so cool. Yes, no, seriously, it's like he'll put us in those positions to where like how you were saying, like it's modern. Like people are coming in, and this is the first thing that they're seeing. Like we had a really big meeting this past Sunday with the worship team, and our pastor was talking to us saying, this moment may be like the only time that person comes to church, so you want to leave that impression. So we want to make sure we're well rehearsed. We know we're not, off our notes, we're hitting all the right notes stuff because this will be the moment that they really encounter God through that. So even the same thing, walking through the doors, just how beautiful it is and everything. And that's why I think what God was so hard on that, like it has to be so precise when they were building anything.
Yes.
The Ark of the Covenant, the temple, all of that stuff has to be so perfect and to the like this many centimeters and all that stuff, whatever. He's a designer, so even with that, just a compliment, even though now, just complimenting, you definitely know that that's ministry. It's so dope.
Yeah.
So like on your I guess on your brand, back to your brand, how has God kind of propelled that forward? Like what are some things you're working on now, some opportunities you've had over time, things like that?
Yeah, so going back to school, my thesis was on sacred spaces, which goes into the passion of just the church and creating these spaces that people could feel welcome in.
And that was a thesis that I
presented for my
so
so I focused a lot about the sensory and color theory. And if you follow me, I like color. And I think it just really speaks to you, and it can speak to your senses. And I just love how design, it really can impact you. So branding, that's kind of what I focused on during that time of having kids, because then after my first came the second, 2 years later, and then the third. And so it was always like, okay, start my career, but then, get pregnant again. And I like to focus on motherhood during those, like, for that first year, those months. Like, I have the blessing that I'm able to do that. So, via Instagram, it was just building my brand, finding out even just like the little things of what colors gravitate me and like define who like I am. And I started to really play with that and see, hey, I'm not afraid of color. That's one part of my brand, but also I like to celebrate who I am. So I'm Puerto Rican. My husband, he's Filipino. So I like to celebrate our culture within our home. So that's another part of my brand that I began to build and see that I was I wanted to create in other people's homes too. That we're just not replicating what you see on HGTV. Magazines and stuff, but it speaks to the people who live in that space.
You're adding that personal and cultural dynamic.
Yes.
And it makes it individualized, which makes it even more special for each person. That's so cool.
And then that kind of, now the last year or so, has transitioned to small business and commercial spaces. So I was able to do my first, aside for church, my first commercial space. It was a chiropractic clinic.
No way.
And it was kids focused, so it was pretty fun to do because you could really play with color and pattern.
Yeah.
And within that, after I finished that project, that clinic actually rebranded themselves off of my design. Wow. So they changing their logo and their colors, and it's all off of my design. And so that was like the highest compliment.
Man, come on.
And it made me like itch. I was like, okay, I want to do this again.
Yeah, I know, exactly, yeah.
And something about the small businesses too that really does something for me to like really go in there and see what they don't see about themselves and then translate that into design.
Wow.
And then it helping their business grow. So that's been really cool. So I've done that. I've done a small art studio. I'm doing the second location for the chiropractic clinic.
Is that sometime this year?
I'm currently doing it.
Doing it? Love it.
I did the art studio. I'm still wrapping that up. And then doing a play cafe, which is the first bilingual play cafe in the city. So that's fun too. So yeah, it's just been cool.
These doors open.
Yeah, he opens the doors for sure.
Yes.
That's why I'm struggling right now. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to say yes to? And what are your doors? Because that's a whole other.
No, seriously, yeah. So, okay, we were just talking about this before we started shooting of just like not piling so much stuff on, guys. It's like we have to be really careful with that because we know how our minds work as creatives. We have ideas all day long. A lot of people may not understand, but we just sit around and idea will pop up. And it's like, do I shelf this? Do I not do it? Is this for someone else? Do I shelf it or do I start it now? You know, so we always have to ask God for discernment on those things so that, like you said, you're going through the right door. Because a lot of stuff could be good things, but it's like, is this the best?
Yeah.
Is this the best thing, you know? And man, I just love the guys showing you those moments. Now, have you ever had throughout this, I know you're saying just like building your confidence. So were there any times where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Is this the direction I should be going in? Even any opportunities where it was like, you know, they were kind of saying, oh, you know, we don't really care for this. You know, those moments that kind of make us like, man, I don't know if I should be doing this. Tell us about those moments.
Honestly, it's like every time. Every time I get the consultation, they're like, we want this. And I'm like, you want me? Can I do this? Like, and then, but then I'm like, I started in design phase and I was like, yes, I could do this.
Yes,
but there are times, I mean, not every, I shared it a little bit ago on my Instagram account, not every consultation and after the mood board phase and design phase, when I present it, it's not flying colors every time, you know? And that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, we're not perfect. Yeah. And that's our whole process is that we're going through the process and make sure we get it right. So that kind of took a little bit. I know my first one that it didn't go exactly right stung a bit, stung my ego a bit. And then it's like, well, you're not perfect. So,
there you go.
But yeah, I think, that's
I love it. Now I want to kind of talk to people a little bit about color theory. Okay. I kind of want to see what you know what you're talking about.
Oh, boy.
No. I mean, I don't know, so I'm just asking. Okay, so tell me, like, I'll just like say a color and kind of tell us what kind of emotion kind of comes from that. You know what I'm saying? So let's go with like red.
Okay, so red, actually, it's funny because it's a high energy color. You never really see red in doctor's office because it actually increases your blood pressure. Oh. And so actually, I was just discussing this with my husband because we're planning to redo our gym. And he was like, red, you know, for the Bulls. I was like, do you really want red? Because
I can see that though, like red and black, you know, I can't think of, I mean, just because Bulls and we love the Bulls.
But it also, I think red is also one of the colors that makes you hungry or something like that. So you'll sometimes see it in a lot of McDonald's, you see it at Target, and like it makes you crave more. So it's just one of those. Red is, and I know it has different things for like graphic design too, but.
So let me ask you real quick, how come like hospitals be picking like white colors? Like how come it's so bland?
They're very limited. You'll see a lot of like lavenders, greens, like soft
beige.
Blues, beige. Yeah, because they try to keep it more neutral.
Okay.
I kind of wish I would go into that realm, but then I don't want to because it's really complicated doing hospital. And, but I think they need to do better
Yeah,
because
I
I've been
agree.
in some waiting rooms and it actually makes me more anxious. Some of the things that they put up, the wallpapers and
Yeah.
stuff. But some of them they try. At least they like get in the lavenders and the colors, the blues.
And I've seen some like dentist offices where they put up a lot of the characters for the kids.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you just sit in that waiting room, it just looks like this. It actually makes you more nervous.
It's
Like feels like an old type of. Like
Right.
you should be nervous or scared or something. You know.
But then when you're in the
It's
opposite,
inviting.
when you get into a place that does it right, you feel that. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
this feels something's
Right.
different, but I feel good. Like,
so
and
cool.
it's just that's the power of design right there. Like,
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
it's crazy. I know this is already like a ministry type of podcast stuff, but whoever's watching who's not saved, even this just shows how real God is. Like the feeling, how we talk about music and stuff, you feel it. The colors, how it can even just make you feel a certain way and stuff. That's not random. That is all by design.
Everything's designed,
Just
yeah,
want to
by
encourage
design.
you guys with that. Oh my goodness. So what's something that you would, if you just had the opportunity to, that you would just venture into just like right now? Like if that opportunity came, like what's something that you would be like, man, this is what I've always kind of wanted to go into as it relates to design, you know?
man.
Like what's your next big endeavor, I guess I want to say.
So that's the hard part because I feel like in my head in this season right now, my next big endeavor is pulling back. So this year it just flew by, and it was a blessing 'cause I had, constant referrals and business was doing great. And from the outside, you'd be like, wow, she's killing it. Like her first legit year. But then toward the end of last year, I was like dead, physically, mentally, like I just was done. And I wanted to quit it all. I wasn't giving to my kids. I wasn't giving to my husband, myself. And I'm like, I don't want to be there again. So honestly, like this year, it's kind of the opposite. I don't have like big, I want to just be slow. I have 3 words. I want to be consistent in what I do. I want to be slow and still more. And I want to have boundaries because I wasn't having boundaries. I wasn't having boundaries with my family time. And it was like work. And my babies are here. I'm with them, but not with them because I'm like zoned out working. And I don't want that.
Girl, you preaching to me right now. You're like preaching to me.
It's hard because, especially like you said, because we're constantly wanting to do and we have ideas. I mean, believe me, like I'll sit in restaurants on dates with my husband and I'm like, man, do you see that? What they did with that light fixture? Can you think you could sneak a picture of that? Like he's like, oh my God, because I can't shut it off. Like it's just the mind.
That's me with Gabby Lily.
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, like, where did we go? We went to in Oak Brook, some type of breakfast place. I can't think of it. Honey something.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
So we went there. As soon as we walk in, Gabby said, "Oh, this is the the one I want." She says that like everywhere we go. So can you take pictures because her phone is full. So she has me take the picture. I'm like, babe, what are you gonna do with this? Like literally, So, but I feel you like.
But that's how it is. Like you can't, and I can't. And even being at home, I can't turn it off because I'm sitting in my home. And I'm like, oh, we could do this. We could do this. I mean, just last night, Ram's like, okay, just shut it off. Just shut it off. And I'm like, but I wanna be able to have boundaries within myself and with my kids. Like they're young for only so long.
I know.
And it's hard.
I know.
It is hard having littles, especially when you have multiples, like the 3 and the 2. It's like
all the personalities.
It's a lot. And these ages are a lot. But as cliche as it sounds, I know I'm going to miss it. Because I still look back at we were just looking back at all the baby videos and stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, those were hard months. So I know I'm gonna be the same in a couple of years, and I don't want to miss it. They're gonna be in upper elementary. Before I know it, they're not gonna want nothing to do with me anymore. And so I need to soak it up, as hard as it is. And there's so many successful entrepreneurs and those that are in the creative industry that they're killing it, and they're in their 50s, 40s. It's okay. Like it doesn't have to be now. And so that's what my prayer, my heart is now. It's like, okay, Lord, what is for me now? Yeah. This is cool. I got a Mexican restaurant that was just presented to me. That sounds fun, but that's a lot. Is that for me now? So that's kind of the hard thing. So I don't really have, it's funny, I just realized that now that you said that. I don't have any like big thing because I'm like trying to like get my mind to like, no, we're going to be still, we're going to be slow. What's in front of me now type of deal,
good.
Yeah,
that's so good. And that actually could be huger than having some type of big audacious goal right now, because now you're finding that balance. We can't do any of this without that balance. Like if we're off balance, off kilter, it may not have God's blessing on it, because he wants us to be able to be excellent. I gave you these gifts of children, spouse, work, family, ministry, and whatever other hats we wear. He wants us to be able to do well in all of it. He doesn't want us to be subpar in any of those arenas, you know? That's why I like, again, we were talking before, we try to do as much as possible while the kids are in school. Because, like, man, these 5-6 hours, once they come home, you know, they're going to be talking, hanging out and stuff. And then it's, you know, bickering, you know, we're trying to stop that stuff.
After school. Woo,
yes.
Lord.
So it's like, and then you got your Sandy back at 8 o'clock, or, you know, whenever they start winding down to go to sleep. But that time is very important for family time, too. So it's like, yeah, you got to.
And when you look at it, such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
Even though it seems like a whole day and that little couple of hours that they get home from school. But it's such a small amount of time that he's like, look, just focus on these babies, you know? I mean, we're raising the next generation. Like, I have to, like, put that in my head. Like, I'm raising 2 men in this, you know, that years to come will set the tone in their workplace, in their schools, in our church. I'm raising a little girl who's gonna set the tone for other girls. And you know, like, I have to put that in perspective, because I'll lose that really quick when they're catching little tantrums, you know, like it's hard to get out of it. But one thing that the Lord also showed me during our fast at church, we had 21-day fast, we just ended. He spoke to me. He's like, I want to be the most consistent thing in your life. Because, you know, that's one of my words, consistency. And I found that, it says it in Matthew, right? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all the other things will be added unto you. We know that, right? But I've actually been able to see it, like,
but like, do we know
literally
it?
putting him first.
Wow.
Really just like my mind, you know, because I said I ended last year in a very dark place. And it just was like sound mind, wanting to do better in my health, wanting to spend time with my kids, wanting to like boundaries with my business. Like, it just came so much easier because I gained consistency with him. So, because it's so easy, like business, we got to do these deadlines, but are we doing that with him, you know? So that's something it's been like a light bulb to me.
Holy smokes. Every time I had these conversations, it's like, it's ministering to me, man. It's so good. Yeah. Consistency is the word for the day, y'all. This is crazy. So with that, I want you to leave everyone with, like, I don't know, like a thought, something to ponder on, something that we can wrestle with as we really just soak all this in that we talked about today. What's something that we can kind of share with creatives, you know?
I would say, since we're talking about consistency, is that look at your life. Look at what you're spending your time in. All the creative things, because I know it's more than one. If you're creative, there's more than one thing you got on your plate. Look at it all. Write it down, journal it, whatever. Pray about it. However you see fit, what works for you. And ask the Lord, be like, Lord, am I more consistent in any of these more than I am with you? Let him show that to you. And then once you got that in your hand, start getting consistent with him and seeing which one of those lists does he really want you to keep being consistent in one of those? You need to let something go for another season. Were you pushing something that really wasn't for you in this season? You know, and just really asking him, because we talked about that he's a creative God, right? He's like the master of it, right? To craft that within you. Like, Lord, okay, here are my giftings. You know what it is. Here's the passions. Here's what I want to do. Which one of these do you want me to be consistent with after you? So I would do that. Just really like check your heart, see where you're at. And especially if you're dealing with some anxiety and low points and stress, that is probably the most red flag to let you know that what you think you're doing is the right thing. It may not be. There may be some things you got to just let go, and it may just not now, just not this season, you know? And that's okay, because it's going to be even better when you pick it back up. So.
Wow. I love that. That's so good. Thank you so much. Because literally, the stress is a key factor. Like, if I feel like God's not going to make everything easy, But even when stuff is difficult, when it's in God's will, it's not stressful.
He's not a God of chaos.
Right.
So I think that's how you know, too.
Yeah.
Like,
even when I'm working on like a project, something that's like really difficult, it's like I'm just grinding, getting it. It's not stressful because it's like, I know this is in line, but that's so good. So
but when it is not, then you're hitting a wall. It's like you keep hitting a wall because he's like, hello, turn around. It ain't time yet. Yeah.
Man,
that happens to me all the
time. Hey, y'all make sure y'all take out y'all notebooks, take notes. This was so good. I really needed this, Mylene. Thank you so much.
It was good for me too.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me how everyone can follow you. Okay. All of it. And we're going to put all of this in the description below. Where can everybody follow what you're doing?
So I'm pretty horrible with that. That's one of my goals this year is to get a website and to get other places other than Instagram. Right now, it's Instagram. Okay. So it's really easy. It's Mylene _Raspado on Instagram. You could type in Mylene Raspado and I'll probably come up. But yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. So Instagram, and I love that that's where she started her branding. So guys, don't feel like you have to start off with getting the most expensive gear or all of this stuff, whatever. Just start with what's right there. Create these simple accounts. Just put yourself out there, your work out there. Promote yourself, whatever it is, whether it's a business card. Right now, like we talked about, visual is key. So we want to give you guys actual tips. So videos is what's popping right now. You know, photos, reels, all of that stuff. So utilize those tools. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get a rhetoric. Just start building that system, and God will bless it.
And get your face out there, I would say. Like on Instagram, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they like post all this stuff, but they're not like in their stories. And people love to connect to you. Yeah. So you set yourself apart from all the other brands that are doing what you're doing because you are your brand. So I would say get yourself out there. Like put your face literally out there. Yeah. And yeah. Don't be afraid of live, y'all. Like, you know, live is dope because it's like, I mean, it's the same thing. You're just talking to somebody, you know, it can feel a little weird at first and stuff, but just again, all this is just putting yourself out there, being consistent with it. Like we talked about today, it's going to be our word. That might be the title. We have to think of a title. Yeah. But consistent has to be in there somewhere. But yeah, Mylene, thank you so much. This was awesome. Yeah, this was fun. Yeah. And guys, thank you so much for tuning into Creative Encounter. Remember, we are a non-for-profit. So if you guys want to support this ministry, we have monthly events where artists perform, and we have the podcast dropping an episode weekly. So please be a monthly financial partner so we can keep all of this going and reach so many more kingdom creatives. But we love you guys. Hope you have a great day. All right. Bye.